Hi and welcome. My name is Emily Anderson and I am here with FranFit, which is a partnership between the Small Business Development Center and FranNet as we provide education, consultation, and advocacy for all things related to franchise ownership. So thanks for being with me today. There are three different paths to owning your own business. And I don't believe any one path is better than another, but I do feel really strongly about making business decisions based on fact and information, not myths and misperceptions. And I think owning a franchise is the most misunderstood and overlooked path there is. Doesn't mean it's better than the other options, but let's move forward based on information and get started. So the first option we're going to talk about today is starting a business from scratch. Now, there are certainly many advantages. You have complete control. And for some of you that are watching today, that might be what you're thinking. Hey, I'm either going to have complete and utter control, or I'm not even going to bother moving forward. And I absolutely respect that. So you also get to make all the decisions. You get room for creativity and big ideas. There's no rules. And there's a huge upside. I mean, I love hearing about people that start a business and maybe they sell it and it changes their life, or maybe they pass it down to future generations. It can be done. It can be enormously fulfilling and rewarding. And if you have a particular passion, that passion might drive and motivate you to start this business, and it might be this is the perfect launch pad. Now, some disadvantages to starting a business from scratch is not only do you get to do everything, but you have to do everything. So if you have a service or a product and you know it would be the foundation for a great business, just remember that there's also customer acquisition strategies, marketing, operational support, payroll, hiring, HR. So there's a lot of other things and other hats that need to be worn and things to be taken care of. Also, with starting a business from scratch, simply there are fewer financial options for investment. And frankly, there's just no track record to be able to see, hey, how much is this ultimately going to cost? Sometimes when we are pioneering something, we don't know until we get there. And well, you know how it goes. Starting a business from scratch, frankly, it tends to have a slower ramp up than any of the three options, and statistically, they have the highest failure rate. Now, buying an existing business might be the best path for you. For starters, you get immediate cash flow. And if you don't have access to 6, maybe 12 months of living expenses set aside, immediate cash flow might be absolutely necessary for you to jump into entrepreneurship. There is goodwill. You might be able to find a business for sale with someone who's looking to retire. They're passing it on for just the best of intentions. It could be a great opportunity for you. I think there's something very psychologically reassuring about getting to see the actual finances, the numbers, look at the books. That will in turn make it more attractive to lenders, depending on what's in the books, right? But you get my point. There is an established market, established customer base. There are employees in place. There might even be systems in place from the previous owner. And not only is it more attractive to financing and to lenders, but there might be some owner financing in place as well. Now, some disadvantages to starting a business from scratch is, yes, there's immediate cash flow, but what is the actual cash flow of the business? Now, business owners can get really creative around April 15th. So even as you're looking at the books, what is the actual cash flow of the business and what is the current owner simply running through the business? And frankly, why are they selling? So a statistic that was shared with me is that 2 out of every 3 small businesses that are sold, and this includes franchises are a small business, and 2 out of 3 are actually sold to an employee, a family member, or a friend. And that opportunity, the opportunity for that transaction was never made public. It was never available to us. It really happened under the radar. So when you come across a business for sale and it's that 1 out of 3 where an employee or family member or friend don't want to buy it or may not be in a position to acquire that business, it makes me wonder why. If we don't know what the actual cash flow of the business is, what is its value? So be cautioned that the business might be overpriced, especially if this is a business that the seller grew from the ground up and they have that just understandable emotional attachment. The business is their baby and therefore it might be priceless. So how do you make black and white sense in numbers to something that is so emotionally entrenched? What kind of training and support will be available to you when you take over ownership, if any? Will the employees stick around? Will the customers even stick around? And are you financially in a position to take on that higher debt service? And some pros and cons in investing in a franchise. Now, I'm sure there's a few things on this list that you are already familiar with, but I'm guessing there might be a couple of surprises. So obviously, name recognition and a proven business system. So it pains me that the word franchise sounds so much like French fries because that's often what we think. When we hear the word franchise, we think fast food, and that's absolutely not the case. That's the topic of a completely different chapter on myths and misperceptions. But a franchise is essentially a proven business system. Has nothing to do with a deep fryer. A franchise is a marketing system, has operational systems, training systems, accounting systems, systems that have been in place that have been replicated and executed by multiple people in multiple areas. There is training and support available, marketing expertise, purchasing power, because you have this proven track record to show to lenders. Franchises tend to have a lower failure rate, and because there is so much predictability in the long run, there's ultimately a lower cost to get in with more financing options. There are location choices and the ability to conduct unbiased research. So I actually encourage you to speak with franchisees in any franchise model that you are researching for yourself and hear it straight from the horse's mouth. What is it really like to own and operate this business on a daily basis? They're pretty unbiased as to whether or not you're going to enter into that franchise model or not. So also franchising, because it's regulated by the Federal Trade Commission, there is a high amount of information and a high level of transparency that's available to you. I think what challenges most people is they don't know either where to find the information or what to do with the information when they get it, which is part of the reason why I'm here. But one of those pieces of information is a franchise disclosure document, which is about this big. And some examples of what is included in the franchise disclosure document. The leadership team, what is their business experience? Have they ever declared bankruptcy? Have they ever been sued? Have they ever gone through litigation? It's going to break down the total investment. So again, we're talking about a higher level of predictability to decrease the risk. How is that investment actually broken down? About 30% of FDDs have an earnings claim. This is an item 19 to give you a general idea of what other franchisees are earning in this business. And lastly, franchises have a franchise family. And what I mean by that is the other franchisees are there to have your back. They know what it's like to run the very business that you're running. And you can lean on them as much or frankly as little as you like. But the good news is you are in business for yourself, but you don't have to be by yourself. There are certainly some disadvantages with franchising though. So some franchises, many have structured operating systems. If you really like using QuickBooks and the franchisor and all the other franchisees use a different system, you may be required to adapt to their system so they can compare apples to apples. There are territory restrictions in franchising with most franchises, but not all. And frankly, I see territories as the good news, bad news. So what this means on the bright side is the parent company has determined perhaps a geographical area or a population density that is needed for you to be able to access to provide the support and generate the income that you need to own and operate one business location. Once that that franchise territory is awarded, the franchisor is not going to put another franchisee within that territory. The bad news is when the territory that you want, like maybe the one that's closest to home, has been awarded to somebody else and is no longer available. Also with franchising, for the most part, you can only sell their products. So if you have an in-law that makes tchotchkes and would just love for you to sell them on the side within your business, that may not be an option. There are ongoing royalty payments. And the way I see it is this, is a good franchisor. A good franchisor is actually losing money on a new franchisee in the short term. Because if you think about it, initially the franchisee's royalty payments are extremely low, while the franchisor's support costs are extremely high. Now, the franchisor, a good franchisor, has thoroughly screened and vetted you as a good candidate. So if and when they award you a franchise, what they're looking for is over time in the long term, when their support costs go down, your royalty payments go up. So you and they make money in the long run. Now, another disadvantage with franchising is simply that there are fewer industry options. If you have a very unique and creative idea for a business and you are hoping to find it in a franchise business system, quite frankly, it just may not be available, or at least not yet. So thank you for your time. I look forward to providing you with more information, more content. Again, this is Emily Anderson. If you have any questions, you can reach me. My office is 503-726-5935. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.